Hey everyone, it's Stephanie from the Well-Doing Mom. I'm the mom of 8 kids, ages 19 down to 4, and we are a homeschooling family. And one of our challenges every day, of course, is getting breakfast done. So today I'm going to share with you 3 different breakfasts that we like to eat. So we do like to have a variety of breakfast. We often have breads and things a couple days a week, like homemade muffins or breads. We do homemade waffles, homemade pancakes. We do cereal, usually on Sunday mornings, sometimes other mornings thrown in there. And we do oatmeal and multi-meal and those kind of things. So today is 3 different breakfasts that I am making for our family. We also sometimes do breakfast for dinner. And at least one of these I did as a breakfast for dinner. So breakfast for dinner is a great way to usually do something fairly quick and usually fairly inexpensive for your family. So if you like these kinds of videos where I share how we live our homeschooling life, so a lot of times it's about cooking and about curriculum I'm using or how I plan out our days or what I'm buying at the store, how I'm planning our meals, all the encompassing things of how to homeschool. My goal here is to encourage you in homeschooling, whether you have a small family or a large family, but that you can do the homeschooling thing and all of these odds and ends things that you have to do along with that. And for us, breakfast is one of those things. So if that appeals to you, I encourage you to subscribe. Look at some of my other videos where I've made other meals that our family enjoys and see if any of those are things your family would like. So here are 3 breakfasts for your families. So today I'm going to try a new breakfast. This is from Heavenly Homemaker. If you've never seen her blog, I used to read her blog years and years ago. I think this recipe is from like 2012 or something. I've had this. It's kind of this cream cheese pastry crescent roll thing. I've had it before with actual crescent rolls, like Pillsbury crescent rolls and a cream cheese filling. But I don't like to pay for the crescent rolls. Even the store brand, I think all these are almost $2. So it just gets super expensive when you're trying to double and triple recipes and stuff. So I'm going to double her recipe because I want to put it in a 9x13 to have enough for breakfast. Although I'm not sure I'm going to double the filling. I'm going to try a single batch of filling and see if that's enough or if I need to double it. So it uses all whole wheat flour, but I don't think that will go over well in my house. So I am going to, because I'm not sure if I've used this dough recipe before. So I am going to use white flour for this time. And next time, if I like it, the next time I'll do half and half. So it's 1 3/4 cups. So I'm doubling it, which makes it 3.5 cups. There's a child in the other room waking up. She has lots of siblings hanging with her, so she is good. Just a little cranky this morning. We had church last night, and I was hoping they would sleep in, but that was not their desire. Okay, so then it says to use half a cup of plain yogurt. I typically don't do that. I use sour milk instead. So I'm going to put a little bit of vinegar. I need to use a whole cup since I'm doubling it. I need a smaller jug of vinegar. This thing's a little large. I use it a lot for chemistry experiments too, it feels like, so. Okay. Didn't want to go back to the garage. I feel like I'm running late this morning, even though I've been up forever. Okay, let's turn down here. Here we go. Oh, good. You can't see the pile of dishes. After we took the kids to Awana, I went to bed. I watched some TV, I relaxed, it was amazing. So if you let this sit, it will get like thick, but I didn't do that because I didn't have time. And then it's a cup of butter that I melted in the microwave. I think I'm going to have to start making breakfast earlier and then doing my Bible study while breakfast is cooking rather than the other way around. The kids just don't like to wait. So because I didn't use whole wheat flour, wow, that's really close up in my face. It's a little thinner because when you use whole wheat flour, you always need a little more liquid. So I'm just going to add a little more flour. That made a nice dough that I'll be able to roll out to put in. Let me get a rolling pin. I'm going to divide this in half because half's going to go on the bottom. Then I'll put a filling and then I'll put the other half on top. Okay, so I'm going to roll this out. I have the pan right behind me so I can kind of see how big I need it to be. And then I'm just going to plop that in the pan. I didn't spray the pan with all that butter. I wouldn't think I would need to. Okay, now I'm going to leave this mess here because I'm going to have to roll out the top. Maybe I'll go ahead and roll it out so that after I put the filling in, I can just plop the top on. The reason this works as a crescent roll dough is because it doesn't rise up. It doesn't have anything in it that should make it rise. There's no yeast. There's no baking powder, baking soda. Because I've tried other recipes to replace crescent roll dough before, but if they rise up, then it makes like a super thick dough, and that's typically not what you have when you do something with crescent rolls. There's a couple recipes I like with crescent rolls, but they're kind of expensive. Now I need to do oh man, the bowl I want is not. Let me see if it's in the dishwasher. Yes. Okay. Let me move you back over here. So this is my favorite bowl. I like to use the hand mixer when I beat up cream cheese. I think it works better than the KitchenAid. I do have one child that does not like cream cheese, so she probably won't like this, but I want it, so, we'll find her something else. Oh, we still have some. I made, I have a little kid laughing at me up here. I made 2 breakfast items that we use. What did I make? Peanut butter, banana bars, and a blueberry coffee cake that we ate on the last couple days. So if they don't like this, they can eat that. So this is a block of cream cheese, half a cup. They use real maple syrup. I am way too cheap for that, so I'm going to put in about half a cup of sugar. And vanilla. And then some lemon juice. The fancy lemon juice. Not really, but the kind we buy. I had somebody bring this to me. More desserty. I don't know what else they used, but it was a little more desserty than breakfasty. And they brought it to me after I had one of my babies. And I remember eating it in the middle of the night because I was so hungry up with the baby in the middle of the night. And I ate a whole bunch of it. My kids the next morning were like, where did that dessert go? Sorry. So that's what it looks like. I'm going to put it in the pan. I'll bring the pan over here. But we may need to make a second batch. The original recipe calls for this much in an 8x8. But seemed like that would be a really thick filling. Let's see if I can use all my words today. Filling. And I kind of wanted a more thin filling. I think that'll be good. We'll try that and see how it turns out. You'll see I'm never afraid to change a recipe and see, and sometimes we love it, and if we don't, that's okay. If I don't love it, you probably won't see this, so. Okay, trying to get it all off of there. No. Oh, I was supposed to put an egg in that. This is why you'll usually see me double checking my recipes. But I don't think it really needs an egg. Like looking at it, I don't think it does. It's nice and thick. So we'll try this. Okay, I'm going to put the top on. And then when I've had this before, let's show you this way. It had like cinnamon and sugar across the top. I'm thinking they must have buttered it, but don't know that I want to put more butter on it. It had quite a bit of butter. But I do have some cinnamon and sugar that I think I'll just sprinkle across the top. Hopefully with the crust having so much butter, it'll kind of melt into it. So my modified version, and we'll put it in the oven, let it bake, and see how that turns out. so here is what the cream cheese pastry puff, I don't know what we're calling this, breakfast looks like. You can see the cream cheese is gooing up. The cinnamon and sugar did melt into it. We're going to have this with a banana or an orange and get started on our school day. And I am going to make breakfast this morning for our family of 10, although 9 are here and I think 7 to 8 will eat it. My husband probably won't eat this. Mostly because he's already eaten breakfast, not because he doesn't like my food. Because it is pushing 7 o'clock, but it is a Thursday morning and Wednesdays are church night. So typically the kids, they get to bed kind of on time, but they're still kind of wound up. So it's a little later. I'm going to be making oven pancake, or Dutch babies is another name I've heard it called. So it's not like the sheet pan pancake that you bake in the oven. This is totally different. And it has a lot of eggs, which is really good for kids. It's a little different because you start by slicing up a stick of butter into your pan. So here's my pan. Let's see if I can fix this. You know, my skills are amazing, right? Sorry, I'm being too quiet. You won't be able to hear me. Okay, so I do spray the pan, although sometimes that'll keep it from rising as much, but also if I don't spray the pan, sometimes it sticks really bad. Okay, so you slice up a stick of butter. And then you spread that out around the pan. And then you put this in the oven, and while you're mixing up the rest of it, you let this melt in the oven. I have the oven on 400 degrees. So this is really simple. You put about 2 cups. I use my blender for this. And it's nice because it has cup measurements on here. You want about 2 cups of eggs, which is usually about 8 eggs. The blender works really well for doing this. So now you add 2 cups of milk. And again, it's really nice because the lines are already there, so it's easy to add it. And then some vanilla. I don't measure vanilla. This is like the cheapy stuff from Walmart, the imitation cheapy stuff. And a little bit of sugar. I have 1/3 of a cup. I leave in my sugar, so I just use that. And then 2 cups of flour. And that is it. You're going to put the lid on, blend this up, and then you pour it into the melted butter. Oh, easy. Okay, so I'm going to scoot back so I can get into the oven. And if the butter's completely melted, that's fine. If it's not, that's okay too. It works either way. If you get your butter melted all the way, you do want to be careful that it doesn't stay in the oven too long after it melts, or it'll start popping all over and it makes kind of a mess. Been there, done that. Okay. Just pour this in. Okay. It does take about half an hour to cook. So I'm going to let it cook while I do a few other things, hoping my kids sleep in. And then I will show you what it looks like when it's done. We eat it with powdered sugar. Some kids like syrup. I like a little powdered sugar on it. So I'll show you when it gets done. It has been about 30 minutes since I put my oven pancake in the oven. Today it did not poof up. Some days it'll poof up really high and some days it doesn't. I'm thinking it's about how much the butter's melted because I'm sometimes in a hurry. But here's what it looks like. I will slice it up, and then I have some powdered sugar and we have syrup. I got to grab a new syrup. And that is what we'll have for breakfast. This has a nice amount of eggs and some milk, so some good protein to fill us up and get us started on a good homeschool morning. Today I'm going to be making breakfast burritos. I'm actually making them for supper, hence the really bright light out the window. It's not dark outside when I normally make breakfast. But we like to have breakfast for dinner about once a week. It really does help stretch the grocery budget unless eggs go crazy high. But this meal, you can use way fewer eggs than you think you would need. We always end up with leftovers of this because you think it would take more than it does. But let me kind of bend you down so you can see what I'm working on. So what I have here is some butternut squash that I had cut up when I needed like part of a butternut squash, but not all of it. I love roasted butternut squash, so. And then I have some, that's not going to be enough veggie, but I have some broccoli. Ooh, that's good. One time we got frozen broccoli from Aldi and they were all like this size or bigger and it makes it hard to roast. Okay. This is a lot on one tray and I should probably put it on two and I'm not going to. If you haven't done roasted veggies before, so easy. Put some oil. You can use a healthier oil if you want, but this is what I use. And then a whole lot of salt. And then I have my oven at 425, and I'm just going to put this in. Then I have my big pot. I love this big pot. I used to have a burner that had a bridge burner there. So it doesn't quite fit, but I still like this pot. I'm going to turn my burner on to medium. I like to give it a little spray to kind of get it working. First, going to start with a pound of pork sausage. And I'm going to put the sausage in first. I love this sausage from Aldi because it's only like $2.20 or $2.30 a pound. If you have a big family, a small family, we have a big family. We have 9 people in the house right now. We may have a couple guests for dinner too. So if you have a smaller family, you could just use half the sausage. I'd probably cook it all and then just put the rest in the freezer for another time, another meal. Let's see if I can move you closer so you can see what I'm doing in the pan. Okay, so I'm just going to break that up as it cooks. It's like got put in the freezer after the grocery trip, and so it's not totally frozen, but yep, that will thaw out. Next, one of my stretchers for breakfast burritos are potatoes. I only have these 3 little tiny ones. I microwave them for just a couple of minutes. I think these were like 5 minutes. I microwaved them. And then if you think of doing it early, it's a little easier because they're easier to cut. You also can cut and boil them. You could peel them if you so desired. I don't, so I won't. And you just cut them into little cubes. This is the great stretcher from breakfast burritos. You also, if you are maybe being more careful about what you eat, you could leave out the potatoes. You could eat it as a breakfast bowl if you don't want a tortilla. You can kind of do what you want with it. But this is our super simple recipe that everybody loves. I did wash the potatoes before I microwaved them. They're kind of hot. I'm burning my hands just a little. Okay. And this is fast enough that you could easily make this for an actual breakfast instead of a dinner. You could use like hash brown potatoes, like the little cubed potatoes. You could use that in this. My meat doesn't want to mix up. Okay. While that's still working, I need to beat up some eggs. And my bowl I like for eggs is not in there, so I'll choose a different. Sometimes I will make muffins to go with this. I often make donut muffins to go with this. I'm not today because we just all had ice cream for a snack. And we probably don't need ice cream and donut muffins. And I just don't want to make them. I have 10 eggs in this carton, and that's what I'll use. And that is going to be for our entire family. I'm telling you, this stretches for some reason. But it's still filling. Like, nobody's going to be like, I'm hungry 5 minutes later. I can start hearing the meat sizzling. Then I need my whisk, and we're going to whisk that up. Add some milk to it. I like to use my Tupperware bowls, but it actually has higher sides, so I feel like I can get into whisk them better. Beat up the meat a little. That is my oven telling me it is preheated, but I already put the veggies in. Back to my eggs. So we do a variety of things for breakfast, for supper. We'll do breakfast burritos, we'll do quiche, French toast. I try to usually do sausage patties if we have just French toast or French toast casserole. Add a little meat to it. Maybe a breakfast casserole of some sort. Because I don't typically make breakfast casseroles for breakfast. So, breakfast sandwiches. That's a fun one. Can you see in there? It's a little dark, but just got to get that meat all the way cooked through. Then I can do the next thing. Okay, back with some sausage that is cooked. And now I'm going to add in the eggs. I don't even take the sausage out. My sink is full again. And I'm just going to cook up the eggs. Now, I am making this a little early. It is only 4:36. But I have time right now. And everybody's kind of on their screen time and hanging out time. And so if I do this now, then it can sit and stay warm. And when we're ready to eat dinner, it'll be ready. We have some piano lessons tonight. And we have basketball practice. So getting this done early before we have to deal with that chaos is kind of good while it's nice and quiet. I only have one spoon rest, and it's always dirty. I don't know anybody keeps their spoon rest clean. And I have tortillas. I buy my tortillas at Costco. If you watch a Costco haul, you'll see I almost always have at least one double pack of tortillas, and this is one of the reasons why. This is a family favorite, so this is probably, should be once a month. I'm not quite sure I get it there, but it is definitely a family favorite. I'm trying to decide if we should keep doing breakfast every Thursday like we have in the past. It makes menu planning so easy. If you want to know how I menu plan, go watch a video of a month of meal plan. I have one, I think, for January, February, March. But I always start by planning out my Thursdays. But now we're doing a dinner at church on Thursdays. So that's another night I don't have to cook, which is amazing. And so it's like, I don't know that we need to have breakfast for dinner because it never feels like as nice of a dinner. So I don't know that we'll do it every Thursday, but we may. I don't know. It's a good money saver. So these burritos, if we want to figure out the cost, let's talk cost here. Let's see if I can get my phone to do this. Cost. We have the pound of sausage, which is $2.20. We have the eggs, which they were, I think, $2 a dozen. I didn't quite use a dozen, but let's say I used it. So we're up to about $4. The potatoes were maybe 50 cents if we're being, so $4.50. And then I'm going to put in cheese. So this bag, I think, is like $3.70 or something. So I'm maybe $1, $1.50 worth of cheese. So we were at what? $4.50, $5.50, $6. I put in some salsa. So let's say $1 worth. We're at $7. So for the main dish of this is, and then the tortillas, which would be another like $1. So we're at maybe $9. So we're still at, and I think I could probably get 12 to 13 servings out of this. I know that sounds crazy, but it really does stretch that far. And now I have the veggies in the oven, which are a couple of dollars. But remember, I'm making this for my family of 9. You can easily use the same amount of sausage and more eggs, or you can use less sausage and the same amount of eggs. You can totally play with the recipe however you want. You could make it without sausage if you were really, but then the eggs won't stretch quite as far, but you could put in more potatoes if you needed to. So there's some ways to help stretch all of that. But I feel like it's a good money saving meal. Because if I can feed us, really, most meals are going to cost between $10 and $15, probably pushing $15 to feed a family of 9, because we have a main dish, we often have a side dish, and then a fruit and a veggie. And so the veggies often are one of the more expensive parts of some of the meals. But we do all of that. We don't necessarily, I know a lot of people eat veggies for snacks. We don't necessarily do that. So veggies are fruits, I'm sorry. A lot of people eat fruits for snacks. We don't really do that. Our fruits are put into our meals most of the time. I mean, if you can ask for a piece of fruit in the middle of the day, of course, we'll eat it. But okay, we're just going to let these eggs cook. I'm going to turn it down just a little. So you can see the eggs look a little different than they would if you just scrambled them on your own. And so if you want them to be more like regular scrambled eggs, just pull the sausage out, cook them up like scrambled eggs, and add the sausage back in. I'm just happy it's not all sticking, so I am not the best scrambled egg cooker. I'm going to go ahead and add my potatoes and some salsa. You can add whatever kind of salsa you want. This is the Aldi brand. Okay, that was a lot. I don't even have a big kid here to... Teenager's not even here to open it for me. So, stir the salsa up. And then I'm going to put some cheese in. And like I said, then I'm just going to let it kind of cook here and stay on low. When we're really watching our budget, we will use less cheese because cheese is an expensive item. A lot of times people are like, oh, casseroles are super cheap. And some are, but when you start getting too much cheese on them or in them, they do start to lose their frugalness. And so here's breakfast burrito. We will roll it in a tortilla. If anybody wants extra salsa or taco sauce, they can put that on there. My husband will probably add some kind of hot sauce. And then we have some veggies to go with it. So super easy breakfast. I've been recording the whole time, and other than cooking the potatoes, which I did beforehand, it's been 22 minutes. So that gives you an idea. You can have this ready to go in less than 30 minutes. And so even if you're making it for like a morning time, that is not too bad of a time. And if you're making less, this is one that actually takes a little less time because the eggs. But there you go. Super easy, fast meal for you to serve your family for either breakfast, lunch, or dinner at a really affordable price. Thanks for joining us today. Please leave a comment if you have something else you'd like me to talk about or you have any questions. Please hit the like button and subscribe to see more videos about what we do.